I collapse into my favorite leather armchair, kicking off my work boots and flexing my toes. The restoration of the Buchanan house consumed every minute of my day. Rotted floorboards, crumbling plaster, and a 100-year-old staircase that fought me with every splinter. My muscles ache in that satisfying way that only comes from work well done. My phone buzzes on the coffee table. I ignored it at first, reaching instead for the glass of Cabernet I poured 10 minutes ago. The burgundy liquid catches the last golden rays of sunset through my Craftsman windows. The phone buzzes again, and again. I take a long sip and reach for it, thumbing through notifications. Another day, another dozen emails from contractors and clients. Then I see it. My thumb freezes mid-scroll. A photo of my sister Nyla draped in white satin, her face glowing beneath a delicate veil. The caption below reads, "Final fitting for the big day. Nyla and Travis, forever after." My breath catches. Wedding. What wedding? I swipe frantically through my feed. Photos flood my screen, my cousin Marissa showcasing bridesmaid dresses, my Aunt Rosa arranging flower samples, my mother's hands holding embossed invitation samples. An invitation I never received. I click on the latest image. Comments cascade beneath it. "Can't wait to celebrate with you next month. The venue looks stunning. So blessed to be part of your special day." 57 comments. Names of relatives, friends, distant cousins I haven't seen since high school graduation. Everyone's going. Everyone but me. My phone rings, startling me. My mother's name flashes on screen. Cynthia Alvarez. Perfect timing. I answer, pressing the phone to my ear. "Mom." "Deborah, honey." Her voice sounds measured, too careful. "I was just thinking about you. How's work?" My free hand curls into a fist. "Work is fine. I just saw Nyla's wedding dress on Instagram." The silence stretches for 3 heartbeats. "Oh." She clears her throat. "I was going to call you about that." My knuckles whiten around the phone. My own sister's wedding? Was my invitation lost? "Deborah." Her tone shifts, that familiar note of disapproval slipping in. "Don't make this about you. You know how sensitive Nyla is." "Sensitive? What does that have to do with—" "You're always so busy with your career. Nyla felt you wouldn't make time anyway." The room suddenly feels colder. I stand, moving to the window, where the Denver skyline glitters in the distance. "So you all just decided not to invite me? To my sister's wedding?" "Travis thinks family is important," she says, as if that explains everything. "And I'm not family?" The words scrape my throat. "Of course you are. But you know how things have been. After you criticized her cafe, I co-signed her loan. $22,000 that I paid back after she abandoned the business. She had the children to think about." My mother's voice hardens. "Single motherhood isn't easy, Deborah." I press my forehead against the cool glass of the window. Old memories surface. Nyla at 10 breaking grandma's vase. Me taking the blame. Nyla at 17 sneaking out. Me covering for her. Me at 16 announcing my engineering scholarship. Mom's dismissive. "Of course you got it, you're the responsible one." The responsible one. Always. "I haven't been forgotten, Mom," I whisper. "I've been erased." "Now you're being dramatic." She sighs, the sound of a woman burdened by an unreasonable child. "We can talk about this later. I need to go help Nyla with the seating charts." The call ends. I stare at my phone, watching as new wedding posts appear. Nyla twirling in her dress. Travis and his groomsmen sampling cakes. My parents beaming beside the happy couple. A family portrait without me. My phone buzzes with texts from Jenna. "Did you see? Call me." Marcus from work. "Just saw your sister's wedding stuff, what the hell?" Mrs. Henderson next door. "Dear, are you aware of what's happening with your family?" Even the people on the periphery of my life noticed my exclusion. I sink back into my chair, the weight of 35 years pressing down on me. I've built my career restoring historical treasures, bringing beauty back to forgotten places. But I can't restore my place in this family. The realization washes over me like cold water. All these years I've been the fixer, the responsible one, the steady hand. I've co-signed loans, babysat on demand, listened to midnight breakdowns. I've shown up when no one else would, and this is my reward. Erasure. My phone buzzes again. I silence it without looking and set it face down on the table. From my window, I can see the mountains west of Denver, their peaks burnished copper in the fading light. Beyond them lies Boulder, where my parents still live in the Victorian house where we grew up. where Nyla returned with her 2 children after Eric left her, where they're planning a wedding without me. Something shifts inside my chest. Not the hot flush of anger or the sting of hurt, but something cooler, more deliberate. A quiet certainty. This time, I whisper to the empty room, I won't fix what they've broken. I pick up my phone and open Instagram again. With methodical precision, I unfollow my sister, then my mother, my father, my cousins. Each tap of my finger feels like setting down a burden I've carried too long. This is not an act of revenge, it's a decision, a boundary. The last golden light fades from my windows, plunging my living room into shadow. I don't move to turn on lamps. Instead, I sit in the gathering darkness, feeling lighter than I have in years. For the first time in my life, I'm not rushing to mend the family's broken pieces, and the silence that follows feels like freedom. My tires crunch over the gravel driveway of my parents' Victorian home in Boulder. The morning sun glints off the stained glass above the front door, casting fragments of ruby and amber across the porch. The house stands proud against the mountain backdrop, its gingerbread trim and sweeping eaves familiar as my own reflection. I grip the steering wheel until my knuckles blanch white. 3 days since discovering Nyla's wedding plans, 3 days of ignored calls from everyone except Mom, whose voicemails grow increasingly dramatic. Dad's hunched figure appears in the garage doorway. Hector Alvarez, perpetually hiding behind projects. Today it's his 1967 Mustang, the one he's been restoring since I was in high school. He straightens when he spots my car, wiping grease from his hands onto a rag that's seen better days. His eyes darted toward the house, then back to me. He doesn't wave. I kill the engine and step out into the June heat. Dad. Debbie. He nods, retreating deeper into the garage. Your mother's inside. Of course she is. And of course he won't stand beside her for this conversation. Some things never change. The screen door creaks as I enter. The house smells of cinnamon and coffee, Mom's version of emotional armor. She appears in the kitchen doorway, face arranged in careful concern. Deborah. I was just about to call you. Cynthia Alvarez, queen of convenient timing. Coffee? I made your favorite coffee cake. I don't want coffee. I remain standing in the entryway, hands in pockets. I want to know why I wasn't invited to Nyla's wedding. Mom's smile falters, then reforms. Oh, honey, it's complicated. You've been so busy with your career. Don't. The word slices through her excuse. That's not a reason. She busies herself with the coffee pot, buying seconds. Nyla was afraid you might not approve of Travis. You can be. Intimidating. Intimidating? Because I asked questions when she introduced him after 3 weeks of dating? He thinks family is important, Deborah. She sets 2 mugs on the counter with trembling hands. And you've always been so. Independent. The garage door opens. Dad shuffles in, eyes fixed on the hardwood floor. Don't make things harder than they already are, he mutters. Harder for whom? I ask, heat rising in my chest. For Nyla? For Travis? For you two, who's always made excuses for her. Mom's eyes well with practiced tears. That's not fair. Fair? The word explodes from me. Was it fair when I co-signed that business loan for her cafe? $22,000, Mom. That's what I paid back after she abandoned it 9 months later. She had the children to think about, Dad interjects, finally meeting my gaze. After Eric left. Eric left 4 years ago. The cafe fiasco was last year. I step closer to them both. I've been making those payments while she posts vacation photos from Sedona. Single motherhood isn't easy, Mom whispers, and Travis is her second chance. Dad's voice strengthens with this familiar defense. He has a good job in pharmaceutical sales. He can provide stability. So she found her meal ticket, and now I'm embarrassing? The pieces click into a sickening place. Did Travis say he doesn't want me there? Their silence confirms it. He thinks I don't care about my family. I laugh, the sound harsh against the homey kitchen backdrop. That's rich, coming from a man who's known her for 7 months? Please understand. Mom reaches for my arm. This wedding means everything to her. After the cafe. After Eric abandoned her with the children. Emma and Lucas deserve stability, Dad adds. Always the children as shields. 8-year-old Emma and 6-year-old Lucas, wheeled out as justification for every bad decision Nyla makes. And what about me? I ask quietly. What do I deserve after paying her debts? After babysitting every weekend she had a date? After listening to her cry about Eric at 2 in the morning for months? You're stronger, Mom says, as if it's a compliment. You've always been the responsible one. The responsible one. The family ATM. The free therapist. The emergency babysitter. Never the sister worth including. I turn toward the door, suddenly exhausted. The weight of their expectations, their manipulations, feels heavier than the timber beams I installed in the Buchanan house yesterday. Deborah, please. Mom follows me. We're family. Family. I pause at the door. Is that what we are? Dad steps forward. Where are you going? Away from here, I say simply. If Nyla wants a perfect wedding, she can have it without me. I leave them standing in the doorway, faces painted with confusion, as if they can't comprehend that this time I won't absorb the blow. 20 minutes later, I slide into a booth at Copper Kettle, the coffee shop where Jenna works. She spots me and brings over a latte without asking, sliding in opposite me. That bad, huh? Jenna's known me since college. She recognizes the aftermath of family confrontation on my face. Worse. I wrap my hands around the warm mug. Travis doesn't think I care about family. That's why I wasn't invited. Travis, she snorts. The guy who's known your sister for 5 minutes thinks he gets to decide who cares about family? Apparently. Jenna glances around, then pulls out her phone. Speaking of Travis. She slides it across the table. Kelly took these last night at Downtown Lounge. The photos show Travis, arm wrapped around a blonde woman who definitely isn't my sister. They're laughing, heads close together. In the last image, his lips press against her neck. My stomach tightens, not with surprise but with bitter confirmation. When was this taken? Last night, around 11. I push the phone back toward her. And what am I supposed to do with this information? Jenna blinks. Tell your sister? Tell your parents? Stop the wedding before she marries a cheater? The old me would have done exactly that. Would have rushed to protect Nyla from herself. Would have absorbed her rage when she inevitably shot the messenger. No. The word feels foreign but right. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Deborah. This time, I'll let the truth expose itself. I sip my cooling latte. I'm not invited to the wedding, remember? It's not my place to interfere. Jenna studies me across the table. This isn't you. Maybe it should be. The realization settles in my chest, not with guilt but with certainty. I've spent my life fixing Nyla's messes. Look where that's gotten me. Excluded from her wedding. Jenna concedes. Exactly. I straighten my shoulders. So let Travis be Travis. Let Nyla make her choices. I'm done being the family safety net. And if she marries him? Then she marries him. The words should hurt more than they do. I can't rescue someone who doesn't want to be saved. For the first time in my life, I don't rush to prevent a disaster heading toward my family. The discomfort of inaction sits heavy in my stomach, but beneath it runs a current of something unfamiliar. Relief. I pour myself a glass of Cabernet and settle into my window seat, the Denver skyline glittering against the night. My phone sits face down on the coffee table, deliberately silent. 3 weeks have passed since I discovered my exclusion from Nyla's wedding, and today is the big day at the Ridgewood estate. The Ridgewood. Even the name drips with old money and exclusivity. According to Jenna's intel, Mom spent weeks arranging white roses and gold accents throughout the historic mansion. 150 guests. Local press covering the union of Travis Reed, prominent engineer, and my sister, the perpetual damsel. I take a slow sip, savoring the wine's complexity. For the 10th time today, I resist the urge to check social media. What good would it do? Instead, I reach for my dog-eared copy of Restoration Ethics in Historical Architecture. Work always centers me. But my phone buzzes, rattling against the wood. Then again, and again. Something in the persistent rhythm sets my teeth on edge. I set my book aside and pick up the phone. 27 notifications, all in the last 4 minutes. My thumb hovers over the screen. Part of me wants to shut it off completely, finish my wine in peace. But an old instinct, that responsible one reflex, makes me swipe. A video fills my screen. Shaky footage from Ridgewood's grand ballroom. White roses everywhere, just as Jenna described. Guests in formal wear clustered against the walls. And in the center, Nyla and Travis. My sister's mascara streaks down her face, her perfect white dress crushed in her fists as she screams something unintelligible. Travis towers over her, his tuxedo jacket unbuttoned, tie askew. His face contorts with rage. "You knew I was seeing someone?" he shouts, voice cracking through my phone's speaker. "You set me up?" Nyla lunges forward, shoving his chest. "Everyone knew. You weren't exactly discreet." Then it happens. Travis's arm swings out, his open palm connecting with my sister's cheek. The crack echoes through the ballroom. Gasps erupt from the crowd. The camera shakes violently as the person filming reacts. "Oh my God," I whisper, fingers pressed against my lips. The video cuts off. I frantically scroll through messages, piecing together the aftermath. Jenna. Deborah. Are you seeing this? Marcus. Holy shit. Just saw the Reed Alvarez disaster on Instagram. Mrs. Henderson next door. Dear. Your family is on the news. Channel 9. I switched to the local news app. There it is. Already breaking. Society wedding ends in assault charges. The footage plays again, this time from a different angle. I catch glimpses of my mother's horrified face in the background, my father attempting to rush forward before being restrained by two other men. The anchor's voice cuts in. Police were called to the prestigious Ridgewood estate this evening after the groom, Travis Reed, allegedly assaulted bride Nyla Alvarez during what witnesses describe as a heated argument about infidelity allegations. I snap the phone off, tossing it onto the cushion beside me. My pulse hammers in my throat. Part of me, a part I'm not proud of, feels a sick vindication. But it's quickly swallowed by genuine concern for Nyla. No matter our differences, watching my sister be struck on what should have been the happiest day of her life twists my stomach. I drain my wine glass, refill it, and wait for what I know will come next. The phone rings at 11:47 p.m. My mother's name flashes on the screen. I let it ring 4 times, composing myself, before answering. "Mom." Sobbing erupts from the other end. "Deborah." Her voice catches, thin and reedy. "Your sister's hurt. Please come." I close my eyes, the words I've said 1,000 times in my life poised on my tongue. "I'll be right there. I'll fix it. I'll help." But something stops me. The memory of scrolling through wedding photos I wasn't meant to see. The years of cleaning up Nyla's messes. The money I'm still paying back. "I wasn't invited, Mom," I say quietly. "Showing up now would only make it worse." Silence stretches between us, so profound I can hear her breathing hitch. "But she needs you," Cynthia finally whispers. "She always needed you." "No," I corrected her gently. "She needed Travis. She needed security and status and a fairy tale wedding. What she needed from me was my absence." "That's not fair, Deborah." "I know." I swirl the wine in my glass, watching it catch the city lights. Neither was excluding me. More silence. I can almost see her face, the calculation behind her eyes, searching for the leverage that always worked before. The guilt, the family responsibility. The Deborah will fix it certainty. "I'm sorry about what happened," I add, my voice softer. "Truly, no one deserves that. But I'm not the solution this time." The line goes dead without another word. I stare at the phone, feeling something fundamental shift inside me. For the first time in my life, I've refused to rush into a family crisis. The absence of panic surprises me. I sleep better that night than I have in years. The next evening, Jenna arrives with takeout from that Thai place on 17th Street. We eat at my kitchen island, the news muted on the television across the room, occasionally flashing footage from the wedding disaster. "You holding up okay?" Jenna asks, twirling noodles around her fork. "It's wild stuff." "Surprisingly well," I admit, though the neighbors keep giving me these sympathetic looks when I get the mail. "Mrs. Henderson asked me if you needed anything when I was parking." I laugh. "Of course she did. She brought me banana bread this morning." The universal language of crisis comfort. Jenna grins, then grows serious. "Your mom call yet?" "Last night. I didn't go." Jenna's eyebrows shoot up. "Seriously? That's new." "Long overdue," I correct her. After dinner, Marcus texts to check in. Another unusual development in my normally quiet life. My colleague has become a surprising source of perspective. He understands being the family black sheep. "Saw more footage on the news. You okay?" He writes. "Better than expected." I reply. "Good. Some families only value you when they need something fixed. Trust me, I know." His words settle into me like the truth. I'm still thinking about them when a knock sounds at my front door just after 9. Through the peephole, I see my father, soaked from the sudden downpour, standing on my porch without an umbrella. Water streams from his silver hair down his weathered face. He looks 10 years older than when I saw him last. "Deborah," he calls, voice barely audible through the door. "Please, I need to talk to you." I lean my forehead against the cool wood, feeling the vibration of his knocking against my skin. "It's about the house," he adds, desperation cracking in his voice. "The bank is threatening foreclosure." My hand freezes on the doorknob. Foreclosure? My parents have owned that Victorian home for 35 years. Part of me wants to pretend I'm not home, to let him stand in the rain and feel what abandonment tastes like. But his slumped shoulders and rain-soaked appearance pull at something deep and ingrained. With a sigh, I turn the lock and open the door. "You have 10 minutes, I tell him, stepping aside. "And this better not be about Nyla." He steps in, rainwater pooling at his feet, and shakes his head. "It's worse than that," he says, pulling a thick manila envelope from inside his jacket. "Much worse." As I close the door behind him, a chill runs through me that has nothing to do with the rain. While he dries off, I fill the electric kettle. Some conversations require hot beverages. My hands tremble slightly as I pull 2 mugs from the cabinet, anticipating whatever new family crisis he's brought to my doorstep. When he emerges, he looks smaller somehow, diminished. He clutches a manila envelope, wrinkled and damp at the edges. "We've been using your money for something else," he says without preamble. The kettle whistles. I pour hot water over tea bags, buying myself time to process his words. "What money?" "The monthly checks. For the house." 4 years ago, my parents claimed they were struggling with their mortgage. I'd been sending $1,100 every month since then. "For the mortgage," I say slowly. "That's what you told me." "Not exactly." He slides the envelope across my dining table. "It was for a loan. A home equity line of credit." I open the envelope, spreading the contents across the polished wood. Bank statements, loan documents, notices of pending foreclosure proceedings. My eyes catch the loan amount, $195,000. "You took out a HELOC?" He nods, eyes fixed on his hands. "For Nyla. After Eric left, the kids needed stability." I scan the paperwork, blood turning cold as I spot the co-signers, Cynthia Alvarez and Nyla Alvarez. "Dad, Nyla hasn't lived in that house for years. How could she co-sign?" "Your mother." He stops, swallows hard. "She told the bank Nyla was living with us." Understanding crashes down. So the money I've been sending was going toward the HELOC payments, not the original mortgage. I grab a calculator from my desk drawer, punching numbers with trembling fingers. 4 years, 12 months, $1,100 each month. $82,000. My voice sounds distant, as if someone else is speaking. "You've taken $82,000 from me under false pretenses." "Deborah, where did the money go?" I demand, slapping my palm against the table. A mug jumps, spilling tea across the statements. Neither of us moves to clean it up. Nyla's debts, the legal fees after Eric left, the down payment on her house. Travis had requirements about where they would live. I laugh, a harsh sound that surprises even me. Travis, the man who hit her at their wedding, that's who got my money? Dad doesn't answer, which is answer enough. I stand, moving to my office with mechanical precision, return with my phone and digital camera. Begin photographing every document. "What are you doing?" he asks. "Documenting fraud." The camera shutter clicks with satisfying finality. Bank fraud, specifically, falsifying residents' information on a loan application. "You can't." I absolutely can. I continue photographing, hands steady now. And I will. "It would destroy your mother. Nyla's kids." "Don't." I hold up one hand. "Don't you dare put this on me. I'm not the one who lied. I'm not the one who stole." His face crumples. "We never meant." "Yes, you did." I set the camera down, meeting his eyes directly. "You meant every bit of it. You just never expected to get caught." My phone buzzes. A text from Marcus, my colleague. "Bank contact info coming your way. My cousin's in mortgage fraud investigations." "How much is left on the HELOC?" I ask. "About 70,000. Dad rubs his face. "The foreclosure notice came yesterday. They're calling the entire balance due." I resume photographing, capturing every signature, every false statement. Dad watches in silence, the magnitude of what they've done finally sinking in. Why now? I ask finally. Why tell me after all this time? Your mother thought we could refinance, but no bank will touch us after the wedding fiasco hit the news. He hesitates. And I couldn't live with it anymore. Not after you were excluded from the wedding. Not after everything. My phone rings. I answer without checking the caller ID. Jenna's voice fills the line. Heads up. The next day, I stand in the center of my living room, surveying my preparations with the meticulous eye I normally reserve for historic building inspections. The large oak dining table, a restoration project I salvaged from an 1,882 farmhouse, dominates the space. Its surface tells a story of betrayal through carefully arranged papers, photographs, and bank statements. A knock at the door announces Aunt Rosa's arrival. I chose her carefully, Dad's sister, the only family member who never played favorites. You look tired, mija, she says, stepping inside. Her silver-streaked hair frames concerned eyes. Not tired, ready. I adjust a stack of bank statements. Thank you for being here. She squeezes my hand. Family should tell the truth, not pretty lies. The doorbell rings again. My stomach clenches as I check my watch. They're 15 minutes early. A power move. Classic Cynthia. I'll make coffee, Rosa offers, retreating to the kitchen. I open the door to find them huddled on my porch. Mom's face wears a mask of injured dignity. Dad studies his shoes. Nyla stands slightly behind them, arms wrapped protectively around her middle. Come in. My voice sounds foreign to my ears, steady, unruffled. They file past me like solemn funeral attendees. No one speaks as they settle around my dining table. Nyla gasps quietly when she notices the papers. Dad's shoulders sag further. Mom's lips pinch into a bloodless line. Aunt Rosa brings coffee nobody touches. I remain standing. The silence stretches until Mom shifts in her chair. What is all this drama for, Deborah? If you need help with your finances. Stop. The word slices through her deflection. For once in your life, just stop talking and listen. I slide a document toward her. This is the home equity line of credit you took out 4 years ago. $195,000. With Nyla listed as co-signer, claiming she lived at the property. Dad's eyes close briefly. This, I continue, pushing forward another document, is the rental agreement I signed when I moved out 12 years ago. The one that specifically forbids you from using my financial information or claiming I live there. I tap a stack of bank statements, and these show the money transfers. $1,100 monthly from my account to yours, totaling $82,000 over 4 years. Nyla's face drains of color. Mom? What is she talking about? Our mother told me the house needed repairs, I explained, never taking my eyes off Cynthia. A new roof. Foundation work. That she and Dad were struggling to keep up with expenses in retirement. She asked for help. I agreed to send what I could each month. My fingers tremble slightly as I lay out the photographs. These are pictures from the bank lobby security camera. Mom depositing my checks directly into the HELOC payment account. Cynthia's chin lifts. I only did what I had to do to keep a roof over the kids' heads. You kept that roof with my money and my trust. The fury pulses behind my eyes, yet my voice remains level. The same money I earned working 60-hour weeks while repaying Nyla's failed cafe loan. Nyla's mouth drops open. Cafe loan? But you said that was a refinance. Your sister co-signed for your business. Aunt Rosa interjects quietly. When it failed, she paid back every penny. Dad finally speaks, voice rough with shame. Debbie, we never meant for it to go this far. Don't. I raise my hand. Intentions don't erase fraud. Fraud? Cynthia sputters. We're family. Family doesn't steal from each other, I counter. The family doesn't forge signatures on loan documents. Nyla stares at the papers, hands shaking. I didn't know, Deborah. Mom just said it was a refinance, that you approved everything. I believe her. Nyla was always the golden child, but never the mastermind. Cynthia sniffs. Well, what do you want? To send your parents to jail? To make your sister homeless with 2 children? Dad's head snaps up. That's enough, Sin. The sharpness in his tone startles us all. In 40 years of marriage, I've never heard him speak to her that way. Debbie has every right to be furious. His weathered hands spread flat on the table. If you want the house, We'll sign it over. The side lot can be sold to repay what we took. Cynthia falls silent, hands twisting in her lap. I look at my father, really look at him. The proud carpenter who taught me to restore instead of replace, to find value in damaged things. His eyes hold a mixture of shame and relief, the weight of secrets finally lifting. I don't want your house, I say. I just want this to end. Aunt Rosa takes a notebook from her purse. I've spoken with a friend at First American Title. We can do a quitclaim deed for the side lot today, transfer it directly to Deborah. We could sell it, Dad says. The Miller boy next door has been asking about it for years. I want to expand his garden. 2. Fine. My mother's voice is clipped. I don't need an apology, I tell them, surprised to discover it's true. I just need peace. The room falls quiet again, but the quality of silence has changed. No longer tense with unspoken accusations, but heavy with truth finally acknowledged. 2 weeks later, we met at a title company downtown. The attorney explains the documents with professional detachment. Dad signs first, then Mom. The pen hovers in her hand for a moment before she scrawls her name. I don't make speeches about forgiveness. I don't hurl accusations. I simply sign where indicated and accept copies of the paperwork. As we stand to leave, Dad touches my arm. I'm sorry, Debbie, his voice catches, for everything. I nod once, unable to find words that won't crack open my carefully maintained composure. Outside on the sidewalk, Nyla approaches hesitantly. I'll pay you back, she promises. Every cent. Take care of your kids, I tell her. Stand on your own feet. She nods, tears spilling. I will. I drive home alone, windows down, autumn air whipping through the car. My phone rings, Jenna checking in. It's done, I tell her. How do you feel? I consider the question. The anger still burns, but differently now. Not the hot flash of betrayal, but something controlled, useful. The kind of fire that forges rather than destroys. Like I've finally stopped carrying other people's weight. 3 days later, a certified check arrives from the sale of the side lot. I study the numbers, calculating what it will and won't cover what I've lost. Not everything, not nearly enough. But as I fold the check into my wallet, I realize I've gained something worth more. The power of truth, the strength of boundaries. The freedom of no longer being responsible for everyone else's happiness. For the first time in 35 years, the only life I have to fix is my own. Morning light spills across my kitchen counter in the gun-barrel home I've restored over the past year. The 3-bedroom ranch house sits on a corner lot with a view of the flatirons that still takes my breath away. I trace my finger along the freshly sanded oak countertop, remembering the splinters that once made it dangerous to touch. My phone vibrates against the granite island. I glance down, expecting another message from Balance Forward about tomorrow's financial abuse workshop. Instead, Nyla's name appears on my screen. Thank you for letting me make things right. The kids miss you. 1. I set down my coffee mug, feeling neither the sharp sting of anger nor the heavy weight of obligation that once accompanied her name, just calm awareness. Through mutual friends, I've heard snippets of Nyla's new life. 3 jobs, no handouts. Standing on her own feet for perhaps the first time since high school. Emma walks herself to school now. Lucas joined Little League without anyone forcing him. I type my response carefully. I'm free Saturday afternoon if you'd like to bring them by. Her reply comes instantly. Just me first. We need to talk. I added a condition without apology. 2 o'clock, I have plans at 4. The boundaries feel natural now, not selfish. Saturday arrives with a gentle rain that patters against the living room windows. When Nyla's compact sedan pulls into the driveway, I notice the missing hubcap, the small dent in the passenger door. No more luxury cars purchased with other people's credit. She stands on my porch, clutching a small wooden box, her knuckles white. Rain droplets cling to her hair, which hangs straight and uncolored for the first time since she was 12. You look different, I say, stepping aside to let her in. 3 jobs will do that. She attempts a smile, but her voice lacks the practiced charm she once wielded like a weapon. No time for highlights when you're cleaning office buildings at night. I lead her to the kitchen, where 2 mugs of tea steam on the island. No wine. No illusions of false intimacy. This is for you. She places the wooden box between us. Dad found it when they were clearing out the Victorian. I lift the hinged lid. Inside rests our grandfather's pocket watch, its gold case tarnished with age. The one meaningful heirloom neither of us received when he died. The one thing I'd wanted. How did you know? I ask, lifting it carefully. You mentioned it once, when we were teenagers. She watches as I wind it gently. The mechanism clicks, then begins to tick with surprising strength for something so long forgotten. Maybe time doesn't erase mistakes, I say, but it teaches you when to stop repeating them. We sit in silence as rain taps against the windows. Not uncomfortable, not forced, just two adults acknowledging truths too long buried. What did you do with the money? She finally asks. From the land sale? I meet her gaze directly. I didn't keep it, Mom said. I opened accounts for Emma and Lucas, college funds. Her eyes widened. After everything we did? After... I'm done rescuing adults, I say, feeling the rightness of these words. But kids, they still deserve a chance. When she leaves an hour later, we don't hug. We don't make promises about holiday gatherings or shared vacations. But something has shifted, like a bone finally set properly after years of painful misalignment. That evening, I sat alone on my porch swing, watching sunset paint the mountains gold. My journal rests open on my lap, today's entry simple but complete. The softest revenge is peace and quiet. No bitterness curls through my chest as I write these words. No burning need to make things even. Just calm certainty that I've found my way back to myself. In that stillness, I finally feel free.
I frantically stuff Olivia's favorite purple dinosaur into her overnight bag, wedging my phone between my ear and shoulder as I zip the compartment closed. Mom, I can't thank you enough for this. The presentation is huge. It could mean everything for my career. I double-checked the list on my phone. Pajamas, toothbrush, comfort blanket, extra clothes, favorite stuffed animal. The litany of toddler necessities for just one night away feels endless. Daniel appears in the doorway of Olivia's room, tapping his watch. Jess, we need to go. Traffic's already building up. I nod, mouthing 1 minute, as my mother's voice crackles through the phone. Of course, Jessica. Family comes first, I've always said that. There's a note of something in her voice I can't quite place, but I brush it aside. After 6 years of financial support, surely one night of babysitting isn't too much to ask. We'll be there in 20 minutes, I promise. Ending the call and shoving my phone into my pocket. Daniel hefts the diaper bag over his shoulder. Everything okay? Perfect, I assure him, scooping up our sleeping toddler from her playmat. Her warm weight against my chest steadies my racing heart. Mom will help. She always does when it really matters. The drive to my parents' suburban home fills me with a familiar mixture of hope and unease. Golden afternoon light filters through oak trees lining their street as Daniel pulls into the driveway. In the rearview mirror, Olivia's peaceful face reminds me why tonight matters so much. The promotion would mean better preschool options, a college fund that actually grows, stability. Ready? Daniel squeezes my hand, his eyes reflecting the same determination I feel. I nod, slipping out of the car to unbuckle Olivia while Daniel grabs her overnight bag. My mother opens the front door before we reach it. Her smile freezes when her gaze lands on Olivia's pink duffel bag. What's this? My mother's voice drops several degrees. Mom? Confusion knots in my stomach. Olivia's things for tonight, remember? My presentation? My mother's arms cross tightly over her chest. Jessica, we are not your babysitters. We already raised our kids. The words hit me like a physical blow. I stand rooted to the spot, Olivia drowsily lifting her head from my shoulder. Daniel freezes beside me, overnight bag dangling from his hand. But we talked about this. You said... I said we'd talk about it, my mother cuts in sharply. Not that we'd do it. A burst of children's laughter erupts from inside the house. I step forward, pushing past my mother's attempt to block the doorway. Who's that? Jessica, this isn't a good time. But I'm already inside, following the sound to the living room, where the scene before me causes my breath to catch. My father kneels on the carpet, building a tower of blocks with my sister Haley's 2 children. Haley herself lounges on the couch, scrolling through her phone, barely acknowledging our arrival. What's going on? My voice sounds distant to my own ears. My father looks up, a flicker of guilt crossing his face before he smooths it away. Jessica, didn't know you were stopping by. Haley doesn't even look up. Mom and Dad are watching the boys tonight. I have a killer headache and needed some rest. 6 years of financial support flashed through my mind like a highlight reel. 6 years of $1,600 monthly payments. 6 years of just until we get back on our feet. Years of declined invitations to Olivia's birthday because they were too busy. My first big paycheck at 22, me mother's casual request for grocery money. My promotion dinner where they ordered champagne and lobster. The monthly car insurance I've covered for years, while Haley contributed nothing. All of it crystallizes in this single shattering moment. Daniel steps beside me, his presence solid and grounding. His hand finds the small of my back, a gesture we've developed over years of family disappointments. A silent, "I'm here. I see this too." Olivia reaches toward her grandmother, innocent to the rejection. "Gamma!" I adjust my grip on my daughter, tucking her closer to my chest. When I speak, my voice emerges with a steadiness that surprises me. I understand now. The clarity feels almost euphoric, cutting through years of fog. I've always been your bank, not your daughter. My mother's face flushes. "Don't be dramatic, Jessica. This isn't about money. No, it's about value. And clearly, I only have value when I'm paying your bills." I turn to Daniel, who's already gathering Olivia's bag. No words needed. The ride home passes in weighted silence. I stare out the window at suburban houses sliding past, each one containing families with their own hidden dynamics, their own unspoken agreements. Daniel's hand finds mine across the center console, a bridge in the quiet. As we pull into our driveway, something shifts inside me. The hurt remains, a throbbing wound that will need tending. But beneath it, something stronger takes root, a clarity of purpose I haven't felt in years. Daniel kills the engine and turns to me. "What are you thinking?" I meet his gaze, feeling the transformation already beginning. I know exactly what I need to do now. The glow of my laptop screen illuminates my face in the darkened living room. Olivia's monitor hums quietly on the coffee table, her soft breathing a rhythmic counterpoint to my typing. My fingers hover over the keyboard, trembling slightly before I steady them. I navigate to my banking portal, the familiar page where I've made endless payments to keep my parents' lives afloat. 6 years of monthly withdrawals stare back at me, each one, a small betrayal I inflicted upon myself. "You sure about this?" Daniel's voice comes from behind me, soft but solid. I nod, not trusting my voice yet. On the screen, I've pulled up the automatic payment for my parents' rent. $1,200 monthly, scheduled like clockwork. The cursor blinks on the cancel payment button. Completely sure, I whisper and click. A warning appears. "Are you sure you want to cancel this recurring payment?" I've never been more sure of anything. Click. The utilities follow. $240 for electric and water, $180 for their phone plan, $210 for car insurance. Each cancellation feels like cutting a cord that's been wrapped around my chest for years, allowing me to breathe a little deeper with each severed tie. I open a spreadsheet I've created over the past 3 hours since we returned home. Every payment, every transfer, every loan meticulously documented from 6 years of bank statements. The total glows at the bottom of the screen, $115,843. The number doesn't even shock me anymore. What shocks me is how blind I've been. Daniel sits beside me, his warmth steadying as I craft a single text message to my mother, father, and sister in a group chat. "From now on, take care of yourselves." I hit send, then methodically block each of their numbers. First my mother, then my father. I hesitate at Haley's contact, then block her too. The act feels both brutal and necessary, like cauterizing a wound. "Come to bed," Daniel murmurs, taking my hand. "Tomorrow will be a long day." It starts at 6:37 a.m. My phone erupts with notification calls from unknown numbers, voicemails, text messages from email addresses I barely recognize as belonging to my family. They found workarounds to the blocks already. I scan through them while Daniel makes coffee, my stomach tightening with each message. "Jessica, there must be some mistake with the rent payment. The landlord called saying it didn't go through." My mother's voice in the first voicemail, confusion masquerading as concern. "Call me immediately. My father. No pleasantries." By the third voicemail, my mother's tone has shifted. "Jessica Claire, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but we could be evicted. Is that what you want?" The text progressed from confusion to disbelief to rage. "You can't just cut us off without warning." My father's email, sent at 11:42, one must have tried calling as soon as he discovered the cancellations. A text from an unknown number I recognize as Haley's backup. "Stop being petty just because you're not the favorite. Mom and Dad need help." I set the phone down, my hands steadier than I expected. They've noticed. Daniel slides coffee toward me, his eyes concerned. You okay? I think I am, I say, surprising myself with the truth of it. By mid-afternoon, the battlefield shifts to social media. Daniel's expression is grim when he shows me his phone. You need to see this, he says. My mother's Facebook post glows on the screen, a masterpiece of manipulation. Heartbroken today, my own daughter, who has plenty of money, has abandoned us in our time of need. Without warning, without explanation. Money really does change people. Please pray for our family during this difficult time. 67 sympathetic comments already from people who've known me my entire life. Church members, family friends, distant relatives. So sorry you're going through this, Deborah. Some children forget where they came from. I never would have expected this from Jessica. How disappointing. You raised her better than this. Under it all, Haley's calculated comment. She's always been selfish, even with her own family. It's just getting worse now that she has money. My hands tremble as I scroll through the public humiliation. The coffee I drank threatens to come back up. This is why I told you to document everything, Daniel says gently, taking his phone back. They were always going to do this. My own phone buzzes with a text from Marissa, a colleague who's seen the post. Hey, you okay? Saw some family drama online. Here if you need to talk. Then another notification, a message from Dr. Levine, my therapist. Saw your mother's post being shared. Remember what we discussed about boundaries. This reaction validates your decision. Even more surprising, a message from Katie, my childhood friend who moved away years ago. Your mom's post is making rounds. Just so you know, we all saw how they treated you growing up. Stay strong. I take a deep breath and open my laptop again. What are you doing? Daniel asks as I log into my cloud storage. Assembling evidence, I reply, pulling up a folder I've created called Family Financial Records. Into it, I drag PDFs of bank statements, screenshots of text messages, hundreds of them, all one-sided requests, photos from family events I wasn't invited to, but Haley was. The spreadsheet calculating the total support over the years. Screenshots of every denied request for help, including 3 separate times they refused to watch Olivia for emergencies. Are you sure you want to do this? Daniel asks as I begin drafting my response. I meet his eyes, finding a certainty I've never felt before. They don't get to rewrite history. Not anymore. My fingers fly across the keyboard, crafting the post that will change everything. I stare at my phone screen, transfixed by the tsunami of notifications. My hands hover over the device, not quite touching Ida's if it might burn me. What started as my single post of truth has ignited something uncontrollable. Jessica. Daniel's voice breaks through my trance. You need to see this. He turns his laptop toward me. The comment section beneath my post has transformed overnight. Where there were once accusations of my selfishness, there now stands an army of supporters. You see this? Daniel points to a thread of comments. Your mom's tennis partner, Diane? She's defending you. And look, half your mom's acquaintances are expressing shock. I scan the names, recognizing faces from childhood birthday parties and holiday gatherings. People who've known my family for years are finally seeing behind the curtain. Even Haley's friends are jumping ship. Daniel scrolls to another section. 3 of them have unfollowed her since yesterday. Thank you for being brave enough to say what many of us can't. I've been paying my brother's mortgage for 5 years. Your story gave me courage. Your mother was at my book club last month bragging about her vacation while complaining you never help enough. The hypocrisy. My mouth goes dry. This wasn't supposed to happen. Daniel squeezes my shoulder. Maybe it needed to. My phone buzzes again, the 14th call from my mother in the past hour. I silence it and watch as a text message appears instead. Jessica, please take down that post immediately. Your father's blood pressure is dangerously high because of this public humiliation. Is this how you want him to remember you if something happens? Call me now. The familiar knot of guilt tightens in my chest before I recognize the manipulation. Dad's blood pressure issues materialize whenever accountability approaches. I delete the message without responding. They called my work. I tell Daniel, my voice surprisingly steady. My boss had to have security escort them out. Daniel's jaw tightens. That crosses a line. According to Megan in accounting, Mom was sobbing about how I've had some kind of breakdown. I laugh, but it comes out brittle. Haley's been calling from different numbers since I blocked her. Their landlord called asking if I was still handling their rent payment. Haley's telling people you're having a mental health crisis, Daniel says, scrolling through his phone. Your cousin Ryan messaged me. Apparently, she's saying the stress of motherhood has made you unstable, and that's why you suddenly cut them off. I feel my face flush with anger. She's trying to destroy my reputation so no one believes me. And your mother's sister called me, Daniel continues, his voice tightening. She said if you keep this up, we shouldn't expect to be part of the family anymore. Is that supposed to be a threat? I ask, finding unexpected strength in my voice. Being cut out of a family that only sees me as an ATM? The phone rings, again an unknown number. I decline it reflexively. At least we know who our real support system is now, Daniel says, nodding toward his parents' text offering to watch Olivia this weekend. I never expected your mom to step up like this. She said, and I quote, some grandparents actually want to be grandparents, not ATMs. Something warm blooms in my chest, not quite healing, but perhaps it's beginning. My coworkers have created an unexpected buffer too. Jenna intercepted Haley in the lobby yesterday. Marco rerouted calls from my parents' numbers. Even my boss approved a mental health day without hesitation. Family situations can be harder than any project deadline. Take the time you need. I open our banking app, still unused to seeing the balance. The absence of those automatic transfers has created breathing room I'd forgotten could exist. Should we book that weekend in the mountains? Daniel asks, a cautious smile playing at his lips. The cabin with the little fireplace? We couldn't possibly, I start automatically, then stop myself. Actually, yes, let's do it. I think about the daycare brochure sitting on our counter, the one with the music program, an outdoor classroom, that we dismissed as too expensive. Maybe now. My phone lights up with another text. This one from Aunt Carrie. Your mother is distraught. We're all worried about your mental state. This isn't like you, Jessica. Family doesn't air dirty laundry publicly. They're recruiting the extended family now, I mutter, showing Daniel. Are you surprised? Number just disappointed. I block Aunt Carrie's number too. That night, I fall into bed exhausted but with a strange lightness. For the first time in years, I fall asleep without calculating how to stretch our budget to cover someone else's expenses. I don't dream of bounced checks or desperate phone calls. I really sleep for 7 uninterrupted hours. In the morning, I open our banking app, staring at numbers that no longer dwindle to nothing before each payday. What are you thinking about? Daniel asks, sliding a cup of coffee beside me. 3 weeks ago, that daycare with the music program seemed impossible. I gestured toward the brochure on our counter. Now we could actually afford it. I've just run the numbers. Daniel grins. And the weekend trip to the mountains? The cabin with the little fireplace? We couldn't possibly, I start automatically, then stop myself. Actually, yes, let's do it. This is what normal people do, Daniel says softly. They use their money for their own families. I nod, the realization still strange and wonderful. I've booked my first therapy appointment too. Dr. Chen had an opening next week. I wake to 14 new voicemails and a text from the hospital with Dad's name mentioned. My heart contracts painfully until I notice the timestamp, 3:17 a.m. A quick call to the hospital confirms my suspiciono Richard Taylor was admitted last night. Enough. I place my phone on the kitchen counter and look at Daniel. I need a new number. He nods, already reaching for his keys. I've been researching home security systems too. You don't think they'd... I don't know what they do anymore, he says grimly. That's the problem. 3 days later, I'm sitting with my new therapist, Dr. Chen. The guilt is still there, I admit. Like I've violated some fundamental law of nature by not setting myself on fire to keep them warm. She nods. That guilt was installed intentionally. It's their most effective control mechanism. My mother showed up at my office again yesterday. Security had to physically block her. And how did that make you feel? Mortified, then angry. I straighten my spine, then certain. I tell her about Daniel confronting my father in the office parking lot, about the cease and desist letter now drafted by a family law attorney, about the locks I've changed and the security cameras we've installed. You're building boundaries, Dr. Chen observes. Not walls, but a healthy perimeter. Later that evening, as Olivia plays with blocks on our living room floor, I open my laptop one last time. My finger hovers over my social media accounts, the battlefield, where this war began. With 3 clicks, I deactivate everything. The silence feels sacred. Daniel sits beside me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. You okay? Better than okay. I lean into him, watching our daughter stack red and blue blocks into a tottering tower. I'm free. The tower collapses with Olivia's delighted shriek. Without hesitation, she begins rebuilding this time with a wider, stronger base. I smile at the metaphor life has literally placed before me. Sometimes everything has to fall apart before you can build something that will actually stand. My new phone sits silent on the coffee table. No demands, no guilt, no manipulation. Just the space to breathe, to rebuild, to fortify, to finally live. I stare at my phone, finger hovering over the delete button. An unknown number, but the message makes the sender crystal clear. You've destroyed your family. I hope you're happy with yourself, you selfish bitch. Another one of my mother's friends. I've gotten 6 of these this week alone. I delete it and set my phone face down on the kitchen counter. Through the window, I can see Daniel pushing Olivia on the swing set we installed last weekend, something we could suddenly afford after I stopped paying my parents' rent. The neighborhood gossip reached a fever pitch last month when my parents held a garage sale. Their pristine Italian leather sectioned the one I'd unknowingly financed at on their driveway with a $900 price tag. Mom's designer handbag collection, Dad's golf clubs, the tangible evidence of where my $1,600 monthly payments had actually gone. They're looking for jobs, Sarah told me yesterday at the supermarket, her voice a practiced whisper. Sarah, me mother's tennis partner for 15 years, couldn't quite meet my eyes. Your dad had an interview at the hardware store. Your mom's applying at the call center. I nodded, keeping my face carefully neutral as I selected apples. That's good to hear. What I didn't say, it's been 2 months. It took them exactly 8 weeks to exhaust their emergency options and face reality. What I didn't say, they're in their early 50s, not 70s. They should have been employed all along. What I didn't say, Haley finally had to start paying for her own children's expenses. I drop a handful of cherry tomatoes into the salad bowl, the knife steady in my hand as I slice cucumbers. My movements feel deliberate, confident. 3 months ago, my hands would have trembled with anxiety over what my family might need next. The doorbell rings. Through the peephole, I see Mrs. Lowell from church, clutching a casserole dish. Her expression pinches with disapproval when I open the door. Jessica. Her voice drips with manufactured concern. I thought your family could use a meal, what, with everything going on? Translation. I'm picking sides and it's not yours. That's thoughtful, but we're doing fine. I don't invite her in. We're actually having my boss over for dinner tomorrow who received a promotion last week. Her eyebrows lift. I hadn't planned to share that detail, but the satisfaction of seeing her surprise outweighs my usual privacy. A promotion? That's, she struggles, unexpected. Of course it is. Who would promote the terrible daughter who abandoned her poor, struggling parents? What Mrs. Lowell doesn't know, I'm working 10 fewer hours per week now that I'm not managing my parents' financial crises. My productivity has skyrocketed. My ideas flow uninterrupted by frantic calls about overdrawn accounts and missed utility payments. I take the casserole because it's easier than refusing. Please thank your prayer group for their concern. I know they're praying for me, praying I'll see the error of my ways, praying I'll return to being the family ATM. After she leaves, I scrape the casserole into the trash. Petty, perhaps, but cathartic. That night, after tucking Olivia in, I find Daniel in our bedroom holding a framed photo. It's from my college graduation, me in cap and gown, flanked by my beaming parents. Before their demands escalated. Before the monthly payments became non-negotiable. You okay? He asks, catching me staring. I found myself crying over these yesterday, I admit, sitting beside him. Not because I miss them exactly, I miss who I thought they were. Daniel sets the photo in the drawer of his nightstand instead of back on the dresser. A small gesture, but it speaks volumes. We're making space for new memories. The following weekend, I open a dedicated college fund for Olivia. The first deposit, $1,600, feels momentous. Every month from now on, the money that once disappeared into my parents' bottomless needs will secure my daughter's future instead. Gamma? Olivia asks occasionally, her small face curious. See Gamma today? Each time, the question cuts deep. Not for me, but for her. She's innocent in all of this, too young to understand the complexities of adult relationships gone toxic. Not today, sweetheart, I tell her, redirecting her attention to blocks or books or the backyard swing. In therapy, I'm learning this isn't selfish, it's protection. My therapist nods approvingly when I describe enforcing boundaries with the church ladies, with old family friends, with the flying monkeys my mother dispatches to guilt me. You're rebuilding your identity, she tells me. The caretaker role was consuming you. Now you're discovering who Jessica is when she's not responsible for everyone else's choices. Who Jessica is. A woman who sleeps through the night without anxiety, dreams about unpaid bills. A mother who's present for bath time instead of on the phone, resolving someone else's crisis. A wife who has energy for date nights. A professional who's being recognized for her talents. The most unexpected consequence. I like this version of myself. Last week, I ran into my high school English teacher at the grocery store. She pulled me into a fierce hug. I heard what happened, she whispered. My sister did the same thing to me for years. Walking away saved my life. I hadn't known there were others. That there was a name for this financial abuse. That the cold clarity I felt that day in my parents' living room wasn't unique to me. I was never the problem. I tell Daniel later that night, the revelation's still fresh. All these years, I thought if I just gave enough, did enough, it would fix everything. He pulls me close. You fixed the one thing you could control, your own participation in their system. Outside, spring unfurls across our small yard. We're planting a garden this weekend, growing things that will nourish us, that will still be here next season. Roots extending into the soil, boundaries clearly marked with neat wooden frames. The envelope sits on my kitchen counter for 3 days. No return address, but I recognize my mother's handwriting instantly, the looping curves of my name, the slight tilt to the right. For 8 months, our only contact has been through lawyers and mutual acquaintances. You don't have to open it, Daniel says, sliding a cup of coffee across the counter to me. His eyes reflect the same caution I feel. It's your choice. I run my finger along the sealed edge. What if it's another manipulation? Then you close it and throw it away. He kisses my forehead. You've gotten pretty good at that. When I finally tear it open after Olivia's bedtime, the letter inside isn't what I expected. 2 handwritten pages, no accusations or demands for money. Instead, words I've never heard from my mother. Genuine remorse without a hidden agenda. I never saw what I was doing to you. I took and took until there was nothing left, and then I was angry when you stopped giving. I'm sorry, Jessica. I call my therapist the next morning. People can change, Dr. Lynn tells me during our emergency session. But real change leaves evidence. Look for consistent actions over time, not just pretty words when they want something. I draft my response carefully. A coffee shop meeting, public location, clear time limit. When she replies agreeing to all my terms without argument, something shifts inside me. It's the first boundary of mine she's ever respected. Cafe Meridian buzzes with mid-morning customers when I arrive 15 minutes early. I choose a corner table with a clear view of the door and order a black coffee I probably won't drink. My mother appears in the doorway exactly on time, and I almost don't recognize her. Gone is the highlighted hair, the designer purse. Her clothes are simple, practical. She's aged years in 8 months. She spots me and freezes, hand clutching the strap of a fabric bag that's replaced her usual leather tote. I don't stand, don't wave. She makes her way through the tables, her movements hesitant. Jessica. She hovers by the empty chair. You can sit, I tell her, my voice steadier than I feel. She does, placing her hands flat on the table, then withdrawing them to her lap. The nervous gesture is so unfamiliar, it catches me off guard. My mother has always claimed space confidently. Before we start, I say, I need to be clear. This is a conversation, not a reconciliation. I have boundaries that aren't negotiable. This ends the moment I feel manipulated. I expect resistance, the flash of indignation I've seen countless times. Instead, she nods. I understand. The server approaches, and my mother orders a plain tea. No special instructions, no complaints about the menu. Another unfamiliar behavior. When we're alone again, I don't soften my approach. You took over $100,000 from me over 6 years. You prioritized Haley's children while rejecting mine. You publicly shamed me when I stopped paying your bills. Tears well in her eyes, but she doesn't deflect. Yes, I did all of that. Her admission hits me with physical force. After years of denial and gaslighting, the simple truth spoken aloud feels radical. Your father still refuses to acknowledge any of it. She continues, voice trembling. He says you owed us for raising you. Haley is starting to see things differently, though. The last few months have been educational for her. I take a sip of my coffee, finding it's gone cold. Did you ever actually love me? Or just what I could provide? The question hangs between us, raw and bleeding. My mother's face crumples. I love you, she whispers. I just didn't know how to love you properly. I confused love with what I could get from you. She wipes at her eyes. That's not an excuse. The server delivers her tea. We sit in silence as she unwraps the tea bag, her hands shaking slightly. Even it's a big if we have any relationship moving forward, I have conditions, I say when she looks up again. She nods, waiting. No financial support from me, ever again. Not a dollar, not a loan, not in an emergency. I count the points on my fingers. Daniel and Olivia are my primary family. They come first, always. You'll need to attend family therapy sessions before regular contact resumes, and I need you to publicly acknowledge how you treated me all these years. My mother stares into her tea. I can see the struggle playing across her face, the words she wants to say but is forcing herself to swallow. I understand, she finally manages. It will be difficult, but I'll do it. Dad won't, I state, already knowing the answer. Number. She shakes her head. He refuses to meet or apologize, says you'll come to your senses eventually. A familiar anger flickers, but it lacks the burning intensity it once had. And Haley? She's trying in her way. She asks about you sometimes, but she's still defensive. The family is fracturing along new lines, those willing to face reality, and those clinging to the old dynamic. I find I don't mind the incomplete resolution. Some relationships may never heal, and that's okay. If we move forward, I say, I set the terms. I decide when and where we meet. I decide if and when you see Olivia. I'd like that, she says, hope flickering across her face. To see Olivia again, when you think it's right. You'll need to prove yourself first, I tell her. Regular updates on your progress, consistent therapy. No financial discussions, period. She nods, fingers curled around her mug. I'm working at the community college now, administrative assistant. It's not much, but it's something. For the first time in our adult relationship, I see my mother as a person, rather than an obligation. The realization doesn't flood me with warmth or forgiveness, but it does bring a certain peace. She's finally seeing me as a person too, not a resource to be depleted. Time's up, I say, checking my watch. Our agreed 30 minutes have passed. As we stand to leave, she makes no move to hug me, respecting yet another boundary. Thank you for meeting me, she says instead. I nod, gathering my purse. We'll see. Walking to my car, I feel lighter. Not healed, not reconciled, but no longer haunted. Whatever happens next, I'm the one holding the power not out of vengeance, but out of self-protection and hard-won wisdom. Some bridges can be rebuilt, others need to stay burned. Knowing the difference is its own kind of freedom. I trace my finger along the freshly painted wall of our new living room, still marveling that this space belongs to us. A homier home with Daniel's name and mine on the deed. The morning light streams through windows that don't face another apartment building, but instead reveal the small maple tree in our yard that will shade Olivia's playset next summer. Did you decide where you want this? Daniel balances a framed photo in his hands, his expression softening as he studies the image of us from last Christmas, the three of us laughing. Olivia's chubby hands clutching her new stuffed giraffe. By the stairs. I take the frame, feeling its solid weight, where we'll see it every morning. Our wall of photos tells the truth of our family now. No forced smiles hiding resentment. No obligatory portraits including people who saw me as nothing but a walking checkbook. Just the people who genuinely love us. My phone buzzes. My mother's name appears on the screen, not blocked anymore, but carefully managed. Same time Saturday, her text reads. I found a book Olivia might like. I type back. 10 a.m. works. Remember Daniel will be there too. The boundaries hold. 1 supervised visit per week. No financial discussions. No criticism. My mother works as an office administrator now, lives in a modest apartment she can actually afford, and follows my rules if she wants to see her granddaughter. I check my other notifications. 3 new comments on my latest blog post. Breaking the chains of financial caretaking. The support group I started has grown to 37 members, all people, discovering they aren't alone in being used as their family's personal bank. Mommy, look! Olivia races in from the kitchen, proudly holding a drawing covered in purple scribbles. At 3, she already understands more than I did at 30. Last week, when she offered her juice box to a friend, and the child grabbed it without saying thank you, I watched her small face turn serious. You say thank you when someone shares, she told him firmly. I kneel beside her, meeting her eyes. It's beautiful. Should we put it on the refrigerator? Yes, she nods enthusiastically. Can I call Gamma to show her? On Saturday, sweetie. Remember our calendar? Today is only Wednesday. Olivia considers this, then nods. I'll save it for Saturday. No tantrums, no confusion. Children adapt to consistency, my therapist explained. It's adults who fight it. My father chose estrangement rather than respect. Some days the absence still aches. Other days I'm grateful for the clarity. Haley calls occasionally, our conversations cautious but less hostile. Last month she admitted, I never realized how much you were caring for all of us. Daniel wraps his arms around my waist from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder, as we watch Olivia skip back to her coloring project in the kitchen. The promotion looks good on you, he murmurs, and I feel myself stand straighter. Senior marketing director now, with a salary that makes our mortgage comfortable, and Olivia's college fund grows steadily. Amazing what I can achieve when I'm not paying for 3 extra adults. Tonight I'll be speaking at the community center. 20 people registered for my workshop, from family bank to financial freedom. The slides are ready on my laptop, starting with my own bank statements from a year ago and ending with today's savings report. Evidence of transformation that can't be argued with. What are you thinking about? Daniel asks, because he always knows when my mind is working through something. That I'm grateful, I say, leaning back against him. Not for what happened, but for what I discovered through it. And what's that? My gaze travels across our new home, with its paint we chose together and the future we're building intentionally. I think of my mother in therapy last week, finally saying, I'm proud of who you've become, without asking for anything afterward. That my worth was never in what I could give, I tell him, turning to meet his eyes, but in who I am.
The sun beats down like a hammer against an anvil, each ray searing my exposed skin as I stumble forward. My throat feels like sandpaper, my tongue swollen and useless in my mouth. I check my phone again, one flickering signal bar that appears and vanishes like a mirage. Please, I whisper to no one, my voice lost in the vast emptiness of the Arizona desert. Please connect. I press the emergency call button for the 5th time, watching the screen with desperate intensity. The call drops immediately. Again. 45 minutes ago, life had been normal. Bella and I were driving back from Tucson, the air conditioning struggling against the afternoon heat. Odessa, I think something's wrong with the tire, Bella had said, her voice casual, unconcerned. Can you check it? I thought I heard something. I'd pulled over without question, the good sister, the reliable one. The moment my feet hit the gravel, I'd bent to examine the perfectly fine front tire. As I was examining the tire, 10 seconds later, the engine revved. When I straightened and turned, dust was already billowing around me, Bella's face a blur behind the windshield of my Chevy, my car, as she sped away. I stood frozen, mind refusing to process what my eyes had seen. My sister had just abandoned me in the desert. I stumble over a rock now, catching myself before I fall. The memory of finding those papers in Dad's study last week burns hotter than the sun overhead. College tuition receipts for Bella, thousands of dollars neatly filed away, while I worked double shifts at Rosie's Diner to put myself through community college. 7 years of waitressing, saving every tip, working holidays and weekends to finally buy that used Chevy. My car, my freedom, my only real possession. Just until I get on my feet, Bella had said the first time she borrowed it without asking, then the second time, and the 10th. I'd finally stood up at dinner 3 nights ago, palms flat against the kitchen table. I'm selling the car. I got a job offer in Phoenix. The silence had been immediate, heavy. Mom and Dad exchanged a look I'd seen 1,000 times before. That's the family car, Odessa, Dad had said. Not a question, but a statement of fact. But it's in my name, I'd replied. The registration papers clutched in my hand like a shield. I paid for it. Every cent. Your sister needs it more than you do, Mom had added, the familiar refrain that had followed me since childhood. When Bella went to summer camp while I stayed home to help around the house. When Bella got new school clothes while I got hand-me-downs. When Bella's college was paid for while I worked and studied and worked some more. The memories blur together as heat waves ripple across the desert floor. I think of my childhood bedroom, walls bare while Bella's room overflowed with posters and trophies. I think of the keys always missing from my purse, of plans canceled because Bella needs the car tonight. I'd finally said no yesterday when Bella asked to borrow the car again. Just one simple word that had felt like swallowing broken glass. No. No. Dad's face had darkened immediately. Family comes first in this household, Odessa Lynn. You know that. Mom's eyes had filled with tears. After everything we've done for you. I'd looked between them. These people who had raised me to believe I was less deserving than my sister, and something had shifted inside me. A lifetime of bending until I nearly broke. "The car is in my name," I'd said, my voice steadier than I'd expected. "I worked for it. I'll decide what happens to it." The shock on their faces had been almost worth the chill that followed, the silent treatment as I prepared for bed. Almost worth it. Not worth this. And now, as reality strikes back, I shield my eyes, scanning the horizon for any sign of civilization. Nothing but scrubland and cacti. My phone shows no service now, not even a flickering bar of false hope. The irony doesn't escape me. All those years working for independence, and here I am, completely dependent on the mercy of strangers if any happen to drive by this desolate stretch of highway. My foot catches on something, and this time I do fall, hands scraping against the rough ground. I taste blood as I push myself back up, legs trembling with exhaustion. Family comes first. The words echo in my head, taking on new meaning with each painful step. Yes, family comes first. But after today, I'm redefining what family means. If I survive this desert, if I make it back to civilization, nothing will ever be the same. I'll never again be the Odessa who gives and gives until there's nothing left. The registration papers for my car are still in my wallet, pressed against my hip as I walk. My car, my life, my choice. I take another step forward, then another. The horizon wavers in the heat, but I keep moving. I have to believe that something better waits beyond this desert. I have to believe that someone will help me. I have to believe that I'm worth saving. 3 miles later, I've finally managed to receive a signal. Dial 911 and ask for help. 10 minutes later, the police and emergency vehicle arrived, helped me with my wounds, and took me to the nearest police station. Now at through stay on. The officer Wilson's hand on my shoulder is steady, the first kindness I've felt in hours. His cruiser's air conditioning chills my sunburnt skin as he passes me a bottle of water. "Ma'am, abandoning someone in the desert is a serious offense," he says, his voice gentle but firm. "Your sister could face criminal charges." I gulp the water, my throat still raw. She just left me there. The words sound hollow, inadequate to describe the betrayal. "Miss Matthews, this wasn't just reckless." Officer Wilson taps his computer screen. "Your sister has 3 prior charges for reckless driving, all paid for by your parents." My hand freezes mid-sip. "What?" He turns the screen toward me, and there it is, Bella's name. 3 separate incidents. Fines totaling over $2,000, all marked PAD. How did I not know about this? The question slips out, meant more for myself than him. "Family can keep secrets," he says, watching me carefully, "especially when money's involved." My phone buzzes in the cup holder where it's been charging. I'd barely had enough battery to make the emergency call when a trucker finally spotted me on the roadside. 3 missed calls from Mom. 5 from Dad. 1 text from Bella. "They're freaking out. Just come home and we can fix this." Suddenly, a burst of messages arrive. My mom accidentally added me into a group chat I have never seen before. I scroll up through the message history, looking for some explanation, when I see the pattern of their plan. She's being stubborn about the car. We need to teach her a lesson. My stomach lurches. I keep scrolling. "Dad, don't do anything drastic." "Mom, just make sure the car stays in the family. If she can't sell it, she can't leave." "Bella, I'll handle it. She'll realize she needs us." Officer Wilson notices my hands shaking. "Miss Matthews, are you all right?" "They planned it," I whisper, turning the phone so he can see. "They wanted to strand me." "Ah." His expression hardens as he reads. "This changes things. This is premeditated. Abandonment and unauthorized use of a vehicle." I close my eyes, memories washing over me like the desert heat. The family loans I was pressured to give $500 for Bella's spring break trip, $300 for her phone bill when she'd spent her money on concert tickets. My account balance perpetually hovering near zero while I paid for family expenses. "I kept every receipt," I murmur, opening my eyes. "Every bank statement. I didn't know why I was saving them." "Dennett?" "That was smart," Officer Wilson says, typing something into his computer. "Documentation matters in cases like this." Cases? The word feels foreign on my tongue. Financial exploitation often accompanies emotional abuse. He speaks matter-of-factly, without judgment. "Your registration and insurance are in your name?" I nod, pulling my wallet from my pocket. The registration is still there, folded and worn but intact. I'd like to introduce you to someone, he says, starting the cruiser. Judge Martin regularly comes to your diner, I believe? He offers free legal consultations. My temporary waitressing job, 7 years and counting. How many opportunities had I declined because family needed me? The manager position I turned down last fall. The night classes I dropped when Bella needed transportation to her social events. I have a friend, I say suddenly, surprising myself. Jackie from work. She mentioned her spare room once. Officer Wilson nods. Good. You shouldn't go back to that house tonight. My phone buzzes again, Dad calling. I silence it. We'll need to get your car back, Officer Wilson continues. I can escort you there tomorrow. The thought of facing them sends a wave of nausea through me, but I straighten my shoulders. Tonight. I want my car tonight. An hour later, we pull into my parents' driveway. My Chevy sits in its usual spot, dusty from the desert roads. Jackie waits in her Honda at the curb, a silent promise of sanctuary. Mom opens the door before we reach it, her practiced tears already flowing. Odessa, thank goodness you're safe. We've been so worried. Behind her, Dad stands with his arms crossed. Bella peeks from the hallway, her expression unreadable. Miss Isabella Matthews? Officer Wilson's voice carries an authority I've never possessed. I need to speak with you about abandoning your sister in a life-threatening situation. It was just a misunderstanding, Mom interjects, reaching for my arm. I step back, her fingers grasping air. We have the text messages, Mrs. Matthews, Officer Wilson says calmly. The color drains from her face. I'm taking my car, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. And my things. You can't just, Dad begins. Actually, sir, she can. Officer Wilson interrupts. The vehicle is registered in her name. Using it without permission is a criminal offense. Bella steps forward, tears welling in her eyes. Dessa, I'm sorry. I didn't think. Save it. I cut her off, the nickname I once loved now sounding like an insult. I saw the texts. 10 minutes later and one small suitcase, I walk to my car, hands trembling as I unlock it. Officer Wilson supervises as I transfer my essential belongings into the backseat: clothes, documents, the small lockbox containing my savings passbook. When I slide behind the wheel, my hands grip the steering wheel like it's a lifeline. In the rearview mirror, I see my family frozen in the doorway, their perfect facade finally cracking, pressured by Officer Wilson. I drive away, following Jackie's taillights, toward a future suddenly, terrifyingly my own. 2 weeks later, after I move to my friend's house at work, the whispers follow me like a shadow through Martha's diner. They cling to the worn vinyl booths where I've served countless plates of meatloaf special, an apple pie a la mode for 7 years. Did you hear about poor Marianne's daughter? Mrs. Caldwell's voice carries from table 8, intentionally loud enough for me to catch as I refill coffee mugs. Apparently she's having some sort of breakdown, left home without a word. I steady the coffee pot, my knuckles white around the handle. 3 tables to go. Just keep pouring. Well, after what happened in the desert, her companion replies, voice dropping to a theatrical whisper. Frank at the sheriff's office said Bella's story checks out. The girl's been unstable for months. The coffee sloshes over the rim of a mug, narrowly missing Mr. Henderson's newspaper. He glances up, offering a smile that doesn't quite reach his eyes. No worries, Odessa. Heard your folks are worried sick about you. The diner suddenly feels too small, the air too thick. 2 weeks since the desert, since Officer Wilson drove me to Jackie's apartment with my rescued car. 2 weeks of my mother's carefully cultivated stories spreading through our town of 8,000 souls. More cream, please, Mr. Henderson adds, studying my face with uncomfortable intensity. I nod and retreat to the counter where Jackie works the register, her eyes tracking me with concern. Vultures, she mutters. All of them. The bell above the door jingles. My father steps inside, his Sunday suit pressed and perfect at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. The diner falls silent as conversations pause, forks hover midair, and every eye watches this public performance. Odessa. His voice carries the weight of authority he's wielded my entire life. Your mother hasn't slept since you left. 7 customers, 3 waitresses, and Martha herself all pretend not to listen. I feel my shoulders curve inward, the familiar posture of making myself smaller in his presence. We need to talk, daughter. In private. I glance toward Martha, who stands with arms crossed behind the counter. She gives a subtle nod toward the back hallway. Permission to step away. More than that, permission to choose. I'm working, Dad. My voice sounds foreign to my own ears, steady, certain. My shift ends at 4. His eyes narrow slightly, scanning the diner before returning to my face. This isn't like you, Odessa. We raised you better than this. Better than what exactly? The words escape before I can trap them behind my teeth. A muscle twitches in his jaw. Your mother is heartbroken. I'm sorry to hear that. And part of me truly is. The dutiful daughter they cultivated still lives inside me, whispering that good girls don't cause their mothers pain. We can discuss this at home. Where you belong. Home. The word lands like a fist. The house where my bedroom walls remained bare while Bella's overflowed with treasures. Where my paychecks disappeared into family emergencies that somehow always centered around my sister. My home is with Jackie right now. Dad's eyes harden. Family stands by family, Odessa Lynn. Yes. I meet his gaze squarely. They do. The diner door jingles again, and my heart sinks as Bella enters, eyes red-rimmed and puffy. Her practiced vulnerability draws immediate sympathy from the room. My sister, who left me to die in the desert, now the picture of remorse in her pale blue sundress. Odessa, she whispers, voice cracking perfectly. Please. She approaches slowly, aware of our audience. My regular Tuesday customers watch with undisguised interest, the Matthews family drama playing out between the lunch and dinner rush. I've been trying to call you, Bella continues, tears spilling down her cheeks. I know what I did was terrible. I was scared and stupid, and I didn't think. I say nothing, feeling the weight of expectation from everyone watching. The script calls for forgiveness now, the magnanimous older sister embracing the prodigal younger one. I've been seeing someone. Bella continues, voice dropping. A therapist. I have. Issues with jealousy. With you having things I don't. Mr. Robertson at the counter nods approvingly. Mrs. Caldwell dabs at her eyes with a napkin. Please come home, Bella finishes, reaching for my hand. Mom needs you. Dad needs you. I need you. 7 years of waitressing have taught me to read people. This performance isn't for me, it's for our audience. For the whispers that will follow. Did you see how that poor girl begged for forgiveness while her sister just stood there like stone? I'm glad you're getting help, I say finally, stepping back from her touch. But I can't come home right now. Dad's face darkens. Your mother is a grown woman who'll manage? I interrupt, surprising myself again with this new voice, this new strength. I need to finish my shift. The car, he says quietly, deliberately. We've been making payments on it. A laugh escapes me before I can catch it, sharp and unexpected. No, Dad, you haven't. I reach beneath the counter for my bag, pulling out a worn folder I've carried every day since the desert. The physical weight of it in my hands gives me courage. I've kept everything. I tell him, opening the folder to reveal neat rows of payment receipts spanning 7 years. Every shift, every tip, every payment. It's all documented. The shock that flashes across his face is worth every paper cut from organizing these records late at night at Jackie's kitchen table. Worth every hour spent with Judge Martin learning about financial manipulation and documentation. This is ridiculous, Dad sputters. We're your family. Yes, you are. I close the folder gently. And this is my boundary. The diner has gone completely silent. I feel Jackie move to stand beside me, her presence solid and sure. I think you should leave now, Martha says, from behind the counter, her voice brooking no argument. Odessa has customers waiting. Dad's face reddens. Bella's tears dry up remarkably fast as she realizes her performance has failed. This isn't over, Dad says quietly. Actually, I reply, it is. After they leave, Martha puts her hand on my shoulder. Take 10 minutes, then table 12 needs more coffee. In the back hallway, I lean against the wall, my heart hammering against my ribs. My phone buzzes with a text from Officer Wilson. Just checking in. You safe? I type back. Yes, they came to the diner. I'm okay. Another buzz. Judge Martin this time. My daughter Sarah has a room opening in her duplex. $650 month. Utilities included. Interested? I stare at the message, at the possibility of walls that are truly mine. My hands shake as I open the paralegal course website, Judge Martin showed me last week when he came to my work. The application deadline is tomorrow. The classes would fit around my diner shifts. For the first time since the desert, I allow myself to imagine a life beyond this town, beyond the whispers, beyond the constant pull of family obligation, a life where no is a complete sentence, where boundaries aren't declarations of war but simple statements of fact. I type back to Judge Martin, very interested, when can I see it? 10 minutes later, I return to the diner floor, coffee pot in hand. Mrs. Caldwell and her friend fall silent as I approach their table. More coffee? I ask, my voice steady. Mrs. Caldwell studies my face, searching for cracks. Your poor mother called me this morning. She's beside herself with worry. I pour the coffee precisely to the rim, not a drop spilled this time. That's between her and her therapist, I imagine. Her mouth opens, then closes. I move to the next table, feeling something unfamiliar stretching through me. Not quite peace, not quite power, but something close to both, growing stronger with each step I take. A week later, I decided to fully escape from my family, so I came to collect all the things that are left at the house. The police cruiser idles at the curb, a silent guardian as I slide the last box into Jackie's hatchback. Officer Wilson stands with arms crossed, his presence transforming my childhood home into unfamiliar territory. Need anything else from inside, Miss Matthews? He asks, sunlight glinting off his badge. Just one more thing. My footsteps echo through rooms, suddenly small and foreign. In my bedroom, stripped of everything except the furniture that was never truly mine, I run my fingers along the windowsill, where I once pressed my forehead against cool glass, dreaming of escape. The walls hold 17 years of whispered plans, of calculations scribbled by flashlight, of promises I made to myself while Bella's laughter floated from downstairs. Mom appears in the doorway, her face arranged in the expression that once paralyzed me with guilt. Odessa, please, we can talk about this like adults. I say nothing, moving past her with measured steps. Your father hasn't slept since you left, she calls after me. Is that what you wanted? The words slide off me like rainwater. My silence is unfamiliar to her, a language she can't manipulate. In the living room, Dad paces near the fireplace, while Bella perches on the couch, mascara-smudged eyes watching my every move. That car contains personal gifts I purchased. Bella announces as I reach the door. I should at least get those back. I turn, finally meeting her gaze. Itemize them. Send the list to Officer Wilson. With receipts. Her mouth opens, then closes. We both know no such receipts exist. Outside, I slide into Jackie's passenger seat. Through the windshield, I watch my family's tableau, 3 figures framed in the doorway, suddenly powerless without my participation in their drama. Done? Jackie asks, starting the engine. Done. 40 minutes later, I sit cross-legged on Jackie's floor, laptop balanced on my knees. My finger hovers over the button, hesitating only briefly before clicking Publish. The car listing goes live, priced just below market value to guarantee a quick sale. I close my eyes, breathing deeply as I create a new email address, separating my digital identity from the one my family knows. That night, my phone vibrates against the hardwood floor. Dad's number. I silence it without looking at the message, adding it to the growing collection of unheard threats and manipulations. Your father called the landlord, Jackie says, appearing in the doorway with 2 mugs of coffee. Tried claiming you have outstanding debts that make you a rental risk. I accept the coffee, unsurprised. What did Mr. Grayson say? Told your dad he's known you since you were 16 bussing tables, and maybe he should worry more about his own credit score. She grins, sitting beside me. Small towns cut both ways. My phone lights up again, Mom's number. Against better judgment, I glance at the message preview. Emergency room. Please call. It's serious. 10 minutes pass. 20. My hands shake slightly, muscle memory of decades of urgent family summons, but I continue typing job application answers, letting the phone sit untouched. An hour later, it buzzes with a text from my cousin Sarah. For your information, your mom's fine. Playing bridge at Aunt Linda's. Thought you should know. The knot in my stomach loosens. Another test failed. Morning brings unexpected allies. My regular customers at the diner have formed a protective circle after Bella's tearful performance yesterday. My sister posted a heartbreaking message on Facebook but got laughed at. Mrs. Abernathy stops me between coffee refills, her weathered hand catching mine. Heard about that social media nonsense your sister posted, she says. Don't you worry. We set the record straight at Bible study. Days later, the pastor's wife pointedly asks about my desert ordeal, while Bella stands frozen at the pharmacy counter. Officer Wilson mentions the abandonment case at the hardware store, where Dad buys his fishing gear. Judge Martin speaks quietly with our church elders about troubling family patterns after Sunday service. The town's invisible communication network, once weaponized against me, now carries a different current. Then one Monday morning, my phone chimes with an email notification. The car sold. Full asking price, cash, pickup, tomorrow. My ticket to Phoenix made real. 30 minutes later, a court clerk calls. Miss Matthews, your restraining order hearing has been moved up. Judge Franklin reviewed the evidence, particularly the prior driving incidents. It's been granted. I hang up, hands steady for the first time in weeks. 2 hours later, another call, my potential employer in Phoenix. We'd like to offer you the position, the HR director says. Actually, we can do a bit better than the salary we discussed. That evening, Dad calls from an unfamiliar number. His voice lacks its usual resonance when I answer. We should negotiate, he says, the word foreign in his mouth. Come to some arrangement that works for everyone. I watch the sunset through Jackie's kitchen window, the same Arizona sky that witnessed my abandonment now bearing witness to my rebirth. There's nothing to negotiate, I tell him quietly. I'm not asking for anything from you anymore. I end the call as Mom's church friend Elaine texts. Thinking of you. Missed your mother at the fundraiser tonight. Several people asking questions. Their world is shrinking just as mine expands. The scales rebalancing, finally and completely. A week later, on Tuesday afternoon, after I finish the shift, the letter trembles in my hand as I read it again, the handwriting unmistakably belonging to Mrs. Pearson, our family friend of 20 years. Your father's heart condition has worsened with the stress. The doctor says family healing is critical to his recovery. Your mother promises things will be different now. Please come for one last family dinner before you leave town, Thursday at 6. I fold the paper along its creases and tuck it into my pocket. The familiar weight of manipulation settles in my stomach, but something has changed. The sensation no longer cripples me. I have called the doctor to check my father's condition, and the doctor confirmed he hasn't seen my dad in months. You don't have to go, Jackie says from her position on the couch, feet propped on a coffee table scattered with paralegal textbooks. That's the thing about boundaries. You get to enforce them. Ow. I know. I zip my overnight bag shut. Phoenix awaits on Friday, new apartment, new job, new life. But I need this. For me. Jackie twirls her car keys. I'll wait outside. First sign of trouble, I'm coming in with air horns and confetti. I just nod and finalize packing. On Thursday evening, the drive to my childhood home passes in silence. Each landmark, we pass the diner where I worked double shifts, the bank where I deposited every tip, the high school where Bella was homecoming queen while I worked weekends, feels like turning pages in a book I've finally finished reading. Jackie parks across the street. You've got this, she says, squeezing my hand. Remember what Judge Martin said. Don't engage with emotional manipulation. Stick to facts. I recite the words that have become my mantra. And I deserve peace. My parents' house looks smaller somehow. The front door opens before I reach it, my mother appearing with arms outstretched, wearing the yellow cardigan she saves for church and family photos. Odessa, she whispers, voice thick with rehearsed emotion. You came. I step past her embrace. For closure, not reconciliation. The dining room tableau could win awards for calculated nostalgia. My father sits at the head of the table, his face arranged in a mask of patriarchal concern. Bella occupies her usual place at his right hand, eyes red-rimmed and darting nervously toward me. My childhood favorites crowd the table: fried chicken, mashed potatoes, green bean casserole. Photo albums stand propped against the centerpiece. A medical prescription bottle sits prominently near my father's water glass. Sit down, Odessa. Dad gestures to my old spot. Family dinner isn't complete without everyone present. I remain standing, clutching the folder I brought. How's your heart condition, Dad? His hand reflexively touches his chest. The doctor says stress is the primary factor. Interesting. I set my folder on the table. Because I called Dr. Winters 2 days ago. He hasn't seen you in 8 months, and your last checkup showed perfect cardiac health. The silence expands like desert heat. Dad recovers first. Blood is thicker than water, Odessa. Whatever issues we've had. That's not even the correct quote. I interrupt. The full proverb is, the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb. It means, chosen relationships are stronger than forced family ties. It means, Bella pushes forward, tears spilling. I was jealous of your independence. The way you always knew what you wanted. I'm so sorry about the desert. I didn't come for apologies. I open my folder. I came because I needed to understand why. One by one, I lay out my evidence. A childhood calendar color-coded to show Bella's activities versus my chores. Bank statements highlighting thousands spent on her while I worked. Psychology articles about golden child, scapegoat dynamics, highlighted passages glowing under the dining room light. What is all this? Mother's voice wavers. Documentation. I tap the folder. Every missed school event because someone needed to help at home. Every time my car was borrowed without permission. Every family emergency that mysteriously coincided with my job interviews. My father's face darkens. You kept records? Against your own family? I kept records because no one else acknowledged my reality. My voice remains steady, surprising even me. I needed to prove to myself I wasn't crazy. My mother rises, hands fluttering. After all we've done for you. That's exactly the problem. The words flow without rehearsal. You've never seen what I've done for you. The double shifts, the canceled plans, the dreams deferred. You called it family duty when it benefited you and selfishness when it benefited me. Bella reaches for my hand across the table. I step back. I'm not here for reconciliation. I say, meeting each pair of eyes. I'm here for closure. I release you from any obligation to me, and myself from any obligation to you. I place my house key on the table. The small brass key that once represented home now symbolizes a door I'm choosing to close. What about Christmas? What about Christmas? My mother asks, voice small. Thanksgiving? I'll be with people who respect my boundaries. I gather my documentation, sliding it back into the folder with calm precision. I wish you healing. All of you. My father stands, anger replacing his calculated concern. If you walk out that door, you'll what? I ask, genuinely curious. Abandon me in the desert? Take my car? Question my worth? You've already done your worst. Bella sobs into her hands. My mother clutches her cardigan, and my father towers with impotent rage. The scene should devastate me. Instead, I feel a curious lightness. Goodbye, I say simply. I walk out without tears or drama, closing the door with gentle finality. The night air fills my lungs with something that feels remarkably like freedom. Jackie waits in her car, window rolled down. You did it, she says, hand warm on my shoulder. I did. I look back at the house one last time. Now I can start. We drive away from the past toward tomorrow's horizon. For the first time in 25 years, my shoulders carry only their own weight. 6 months later, the morning sun streams through gauzy curtains. I picked myself, painting golden patterns across my small Phoenix apartment. I trace my fingers over the paralegal textbook on my desk, neon highlighter marks transforming legal jargon into stepping stones toward my future. My first office paycheck, still in its envelope, is pinned to the corkboard above, tangible proof that waitressing at Rosie's Diner is finally behind me. I pause before dialing the phone company. One deep breath, then another. I'd like to change my number permanently, I tell the customer service representative, my voice steady. When she asks if I want to notify anyone of the change, I simply say, no thank you. The small click as I hang up feels monumental. 6 months later, I'm driving my new-to-me Honda along that same stretch of desert highway. The steering wheel feels different under my hands, this car purchased with my own money, chosen for reliability rather than someone else's approval. I recognize the mile marker where Bella abandoned me, but today I pull over by choice. The Arizona sunset transforms the landscape into a watercolor painting, crimson and gold washing over sand and cacti. I step out, boots crunching on gravel, and breathe deeply. The vastness that once terrified me now feels like possibility stretching toward the horizon. You're making progress, doctor. Schaefer told me during yesterday's therapy session. Boundaries aren't walls, they're healthy definitions of where you end and others begin. Those boundaries have allowed me to build something new. Tuesday potlucks with coworkers. Weekend hikes with Phoenix locals who've become friends. Sunday afternoons volunteering at Desert Bloom Women's Shelter, where I sit across from women whose eyes mirror what mine once held. I understand feeling trapped, I tell them, and mean it. Last Christmas, instead of forcing myself through another performance of family harmony, I drove to Jackie's parents' house 3 hours north. Her mother hugged me without expectation. Her father carved the turkey without commentary on my life choices. They asked questions and actually listened to my answers. The apartment buzzer interrupts my memories of the desert, my housewarming gathering modest but meaningful. Officer Wilson arrives first, having driven up from my hometown with Judge Martin. "Place looks good," Wilson says, handing me a potted cactus. "Suits you strong, independent?" Martha from the diner bustles in bearing her famous apple pie. "Finally," she says, squeezing my hand. "Someone appreciated your worth." Later, glasses raised in my living room, Judge Martin offers a toast to new beginnings and found family. The support group I started meets Thursdays in the community center. Family Scapegoats Anonymous sounds dramatic, but the relief on people's faces when they realize they're not alone is worth any awkwardness. Last week, I received an anonymous letter from my hometown. "Watching you stand up for yourself gave me courage to do the same." When Bella's number appears on my phone after she begged Jackie for it, I answer calmly. I listen to her explanations, her tentative olive branch. "I wish you healing," I tell her when she finally pauses, "but my boundaries remain." The simple peace I feel hanging up surprises me. Their approval or lack thereof no longer defines me. Today, driving with the windows down along the open highway, wind tangling my hair, I catch my reflection in the rearview mirror. The woman looking back has strength in her eyes and peace in her smile. The desert stretches endless and beautiful around me, no longer a trap but a testament to how far I've come. What would you have done in Odessa's place? Would you have pressed charges against your sister, or was the restraining order enough?